evening, wherever you're watching this. This is part one that I'm calling shipping watches. We're going to work ourselves up to tariff worksheets, price breakdown, and shipping tips. I'll make this recording available. I'll put it up in YouTube so it's easier for you all to access. With that said, in today's agenda, I'm going to go over a little bit of background information, cost of the duties, tariffs from an economic standpoint, non-political. We're going to leave politics aside. Let's make this non-emotional. I know it's affecting a lot of us. We need to understand what's de minimis, the timeline of how we got here. This directly is affecting FedEx, UPS shipments. I'll also cover, I'll open up the worksheets for FedEx, UPS, and DHL as of today. I'll give you tips and pointers how to fill it out, and I'll explain how to fill them out. And also provide senders and receivers, risks and expectations from both sides of the table. So I'd like to start with a little bit of my presentation style. You'll hear throughout the presentation, without data, you have an opinion, and then you'll hear me saying, this is my educated opinion is I like to use data to reach opinions, but that means a specific study or research has not yet been done on it. Never grow old inside. It's what Benjamin Franklin said. So I like to do jokes. I like to keep it lively so I don't bore you guys to death. Expectations and background, and this one is very important. I'm not Republican or Democrat. Last time I voted for US president was like 30 years ago. Trump is my president. I will not speak negatively about him. I have to respect him, and I do respect him in his role. He has good and bad ideas, just like everyone. Some of them are worse than others, but he is my president, the US president. I'm a CEO of a tech company. So I'm the Chief Innovation Strategist there, and founder. Sorry for typos. I put this together kind of like at the last minute. I have a strong business background in supply chain, automation, technology, and AI. So I take a look at things through an economist and a technologist point of view. So I like to say what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So, there was something that happened that has triggered all of this. This is economics point of view. This slide you're seeing here is a heat map from the World Bank. What this tells us that in the year 2000, when China was brought into the WTO, World Trade Organization, what you're seeing here in blue is where the US exports more. And what you're seeing in red is where China exports more than the US. 25 years later, what we're seeing here is how things have changed. So basically, US and China are competing. We've been globalized. Europe trades with China, Vietnam with China, US. Everybody trades with the US. So even if you don't receive something directly from China, let's say in Mexico, a lot of Chinese firms finish assembling or finish a product in Mexico. It could be 75% done in the US, sent to China, the other 25%, and then it goes through US, still call it NAFTA, right? Free trade agreements. And it does go without any duties or taxes. So I'm not endorsing the decision. I'm just explaining it on an economist point of view because it has directly affected us. So what's this de minimis? De minimis is an act, a term, a tax policy. I will say the word tax again, the US has, where any packages with a value of $800 or less that came into the US, it was basically dropped into the US Postal Service system or DHL, FedEx, UPS delivered it without any duties. But on top of duties, there wasn't any inspections either. Of course, they could have been spot check here or there, but the realities is there were no audits being made to all these packages. So a lot of retailers and manufacturers in the US started raising the alarm. Hey, there's a lot of things here over 800 that are being reported for less and not paying duties and taxes. Both of them were losing business. This is a fact, economics, right? And we've also saw in the heat map how commerce has changed. And the point here is all of this started with China and Hong Kong. They were the first ones to be hit with de minimis. The point here is this is a tool or mechanism presidents, governments have always used throughout history. So the EU has it, Vietnam has it, everybody has it. The US, well, if it was under $800, it didn't really happen, but there were a lot of packages over $800 coming in there. Why do this? Remember, US is the richest country in the world, and I'm not saying this with an ego. This is happening because going through packages to collect low value is more expensive than just letting it go through because wages are higher, the cost of auditing, legal, etc. So the U.S. said, hey, whatever duties we collect from there is not going to pay or subsidize the cost of enforcing this. So February 2025, President Trump says, due to fentanyl, China and Hong Kong. So it all started with fentanyl, July 30th. So this is going at warp speed. I mean, this is one of the fastest duties, new tax acts, compliance I've ever seen. And this is also due to, the Republican government having both the House and having control of the Senate, the Congress. So it allows them to do things faster and less challenged. I'm not going to say unchallenged. So 2025, July, it was then extended to the rest of the world. Part of the reasons or explanations was China is filtering things through Canada and Mexico into the US without any taxes, but they're also filtering it through other countries like Singapore, for example. So in August 7, 2025, August 7, less than a month, Switzerland, this affects us, gets slapped with 39% tariffs on watches. Please note, China is at 50%. So this has to do with country of origin on the watch sheets. Very important, country of origin on the watch sheets. I'll explain this doing an actual made up exercise. But all of this, the de minimis, all the countries, the August 7th, this is rapidly unfolding and it's been hitting all of us. Now, what's happened is by July 2027, with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that President Trump did at the beginning of the year, the de minimis may be permanently repealed, so it won't come back. There's a reason why 2027. We have elections now in 2025 that they're called midterms in the U.S. Congress. So Trump needs to maintain the majority there, and actually he needs to have even more seats in order to keep on executing, doing obviously his economic and political plans and agenda. I'm not saying agenda in a bad way. It's all political parties who are in power have it. So Trump will be in power 2027. Guess what will happen if he has the same or more control in Congress? It'll become permanent. So November 1, China's going up to 100%. I'll cover this when we go to the watch sheet. So right now, FedEx, UPS, DHL, they're a mess. They're taking overnight things that used to take 48 hours to reach the US. It's taking 1 or 2 weeks. When it doesn't have an issue, it could take more. When it does have an issue, so by the way, that's my kid's room. I'm kidding, it's not my kid's room, but putting a little bit of humor here. So this is based on my experiences. This is not ChatGPT and AI. This is actually grinding day in and day out, every single day, including weekends. I'm escalating, I'm calling. It's just been a nightmare. So for all shipping companies, I've experienced, they're not opening up documents, what sheets you're putting in them. Originally, it was like 30% they weren't. Now it seems to be upwards of 90%. So basically you can do your watch sheet and put it on top of the package. I've had cases where the sender or the watchmaker has written in magic marker, watch sheet here, and they're not opened up. And all shipping companies, it happens more with the DHL and UPS and FedEx, are still asking for the watch sheet. I saw a practice from a watchmaker where as soon as they get the tracking number, they'll send an email. DHL, UPS, and FedEx all have, let's say, they all have emails for these documents. I've seen them that without the package even being picked up, they'll write an email to, blah, 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 paperwork at FedEx.com. They'll put the airway bill number, explain that later, and then they'll just send electronically the shipping documents. That's being 3 steps ahead. Everything helps. So Canadian Post, Royal Post Australia, please, and again, you can read the slides. Please, please, please don't send packages right now through there. Royal Post lost a package of a sender that they were sending a tutor over to me, got lost. Right. Fortunately, I had PayPal insurance, goods and services. I got reimbursed. They're still working with Royal Post. And I think Royal Post, the last thing I got from them, kind of like said, nope, can't find it, can't track it. I'm sorry, I'm not paying you. So Australia Post. So with Australia Post, what we've had is that sorry, I have a little bit of AI talking in the background and interrupting me. Coincidentally, I was talking about AI. So where, in the case of Australia Post, before those packages used to take 2 to 3 weeks to get to me in the US. Now they're taking 6 weeks. So basically Canadian Post, all of these right now, they're taking 4 to 8 weeks to arrive. If you sell a piece of watch, or being a watchmaker or a reseller, please note that this is not the best customer experience, especially on expensive watches. Quartz and watches under $200-300, yeah, sure. But most, let's say, luxury, high-priced watches, but this is my opinion, personal opinion. I'll say 500 upwards. Receivers, we don't want to be waiting 8 weeks to get a watch, so you have to work that out with a buyer. That's where I recommend FedEx, followed by DHL, and no UPS right now, none. Please know that after a certain period, watches get returned, or they also could get charges and fees on it. DHL was the worst. Haven't gotten it in a while, but I got a watch. DHL charged me about 250 US, a watch coming in from the UK from a watchmaker. It was a watchmaker sender's fault. I contacted them 3 days after. Hey, DHL is saying they need the watch sheet. Hey, 3 days later, they finally sent it. They had an error in it. 2 weeks passed. I did get the watch. It wasn't returned, thank God, but it had $250. I had to go back to the watch sender and say, hey, I've been calling you since day 3. I had to escalate and find somebody in support. So customer support, please, 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 very important in this process. If you're shipping, even if it's a weekend, even if it's vacation or holiday, it's your responsibility, because I also have holidays, receivers, we have holidays over here, and sometimes we want to use a watch for something. So I'm just giving you the expectations of the receiver. It's your decision what you want to do. I had a brand from Asia that was shipping through UPS. They weren't answering. The customs department from the US, they decided also to take a look at the package. There was an alligator strap there. They asked for the CITES, CITES, I'll talk about that soon, certificate, and they didn't have it. So the package was not returned. It was destroyed. I'll say the word destroyed. So I'll talk about in the tips what to do or what to avoid in that. I had another watch from Spain. It was European Swiss movement. Sorry, Switzerland. I'll say that Switzerland. Avoid using Swiss in any documents. We have to put the full name of the countries. Why? I'll go over this in the next couple of slides. So the watch was $2,000 and I got $1,200 duty. Well, by accident, the company from Spain, the watch came in a wooden box. So it was, the beautiful watchmaker's wooden box, and they put China on it. A couple of things. You're not asked for country of origin in the packaging of the product. So they ended up putting China in it. And the whole watch got Chinese duties, except the movement and a couple of things. That's why it came out to $1,200, obviously. And then UPS came in asking for a $1,200 check. Yes, paper check. I told them I didn't have checks at the time, which is true. And I said I would contact because it's not $1,200. So long story shorter, what happened was the watch, UPS returned the watch. They lost it. I got obviously my money returned for the watch. And the watchmaker hasn't gotten their money back from UPS. And they also haven't found the watch as the last time I spoke to them. And by the way, I stopped buying from them. Now shippers, FedEx by far is the best one to the US. I know DHL in Europe is a lot better, but FedEx in the US is a lot better. Their technology, from the smartphone mobile app to the their browser, Google, Chrome, Safari, Edge, you name it, is also very good. And also their call center is good. And I'd say almost all, if not all of their data is pretty well real-time synced. So what I see in the mobile app, I'll see it on their website, which I call in and, they're pretty much synced. I need to say this because most of the others aren't. They are not. And forget about Royal Post, Canadian Post, until the package is not handed off in the US, most of the time it goes to UPS. So Canadian Post and these guys hand it off to UPS, which they're terrible, by the way. So you now know that. So if you send something through there, you know that it's double whammy, double bad. There isn't much visibility of the package. Watchmakers, careful with FedEx. They'll deliver the watch. All they do is clear customs. They pay custom. They deliver to us, but they don't charge us for the duties, the receiver. So if I don't pay them when they send a bill in the mail, then basically they go back and they charge you. They either put it on your account with them or they put a collections agency on them. So I'll give you a piece of advice. Don't freak out. What you can do and what I'm telling senders to do is you pay it over there to FedEx, give me the bill, and I'll pay it over here before you ship. So, this can be calculated, right? So you can calculate it. You don't even need to pay FedEx or put it on your account. You just calculate it with a watch sheet. You send you send the link. We receivers, buyers can prepay it. And this is the cleanest process. If you put duties and you prepay them, or you tell FedEx to ship you and you have the receiver pay you, these packages are the fastest, the smoothest, and the less dramatic. Sure, you may be off plus or minus $5 in the calculation, but that's okay. More time and trouble goes if there's an issue with the package. DHL was in the past better than FedEx. Now it's not. Now it's a distant second to FedEx. They're getting better. Both FedEx and UPS have well-trained personnel, and both have pretty good email support. Once you open up a case in the call center and they'll send an email, they'll do it quickly. UPS, the opposite. And the difference with DHL and duties is DHL will have the package in customs. Let's say you're sending from Europe. Before they send it from Europe, sometimes they'll collect. Most of the time, after it passes US customs, they'll send me, the receiver, a link. I pay the duties, and then they deliver the watch. But again, their customer service support, they're worse than FedEx in managing the watch sheets, and a lot of stuff, gets put on hold, and they ask for it a second and a third time. They're taking more days than FedEx to process documents. So anytime somebody asks for documents, it could be a couple of days until you see it or you send it. But then it'll take, let's say DHL, a couple more days, up to 3 days to process what you sent. So that's a week off. FedEx is doing it in 1 or 2 days. UPS, badly trained personnel. They're the worst by far. Their smartphone app, browser, laptop, website, and their call center, their data is not synced. You may get different information from different sources. Even if you call, I've been talking more than once with call center people, and they say, "Oh, waiting on this." I said, "But listen, I'm in your app, and it says you received the paperwork." "Oh, sir, give me a second." Then they put me on hold, and they come back, and I'll transfer you to another department. I've had 3 lost or returned packages already with UPS. Fortunately, I was insured in all 3 of them, but somebody's paying for that, either insurance or the sender and the shipper. I talked to a watch brand yesterday that did something on Kickstarter, and they've already had 1 watch lost. He said that he had insurance on it. So, hopefully he declared the full value. He's getting paid for the full of it. So let's get into the nitty gritty. So this is the FedEx watch sheet, best watch sheet out there right now. Looks more complicated, but I've already done a couple of these, so it gets a lot easier. I can white out a real watch sheet that went through and send it to you guys later. So obviously you won't see the watch brand and you won't see my airway bill number on it. I did do an exercise over here, and I want to go through this. A lot of this also applies, so I'm zooming in. A lot of this also applies to DHL and UPS. I'll show their watch sheets in a second. So style, name, number, reference. Here, let's say and if I'm talking about the devil, you can laugh, right? But let's put Omega in here. I know most of you are Mac owners, but I don't want to mention anybody and put them on the spot that I know. So name, number. So let's say Omega C Master, and then you can put model 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The more the merrier. Right now, FedEx, UPS, if you just put Omega or Omega C Master, they'll let it pass through. But believe me, any given second, you're seeing how fast this is going. They're going to return and they're going to ask you for the model number. So you might as well start now with that. Style of watch, wrist, pocket, other, wristwatch. See, I didn't put a watch. So nobody says I have a preference for a brand. I buy wristwatches. Some of you also sell pocket watches if other provide. If you're here, you're not Apple or Samsung selling smartwatches. So, where would I put smartwatches? I would put them in wrist, although MB&F did a dual watch. So both digital and also manual. So, where would that go? I would put in another. HTSUS number, Google it. Smart, you can also ChatGPT it. I don't know what it is. Right now, it says if known, you don't need to fill it out. I wouldn't fill it out. They're not requiring this to be filled out. On the top of that, you saw quantity. So that's the quantity of watches. So I do buy, let's say Grandeur. I bought 2 of the same model. There, you would put 2. Now, I bought from Sartori Billard 2 different models in one shipment. One was the silicone, love it. And then the other watch was a leaf watch, autumn watch. It would be watch 1 and then watch 2. You would put those 2 separately. What's the primary function of the watch? Timekeeping, GPS, heart monitor. That may or may not have tax implications for sure. That does and will have tax calculations implications. So if somebody's bringing in an Apple Watch and they put $50 on the package and it's the brand new one, that'll raise some questions. So timekeeping, I use mine for timekeeping. All the other ones are more digital, right? You'll see here pedometer, Wi-Fi, heart monitor. All of these here are more digital ones. How is the watch powered? Most of my watches are automatic winding. They could be manually wound. Electric if it's a quartz. This is electric battery. So up here, Le Grand Dior sells quartz watches also. Let's say the Grand Dior Strange quartz. That's how I would put it, model blah, blah, blah. And that's how I would fill it out if it was a quartz watch. Would fill everything out here. And then, obviously it does have battery because it's quartz. Country of origin of the battery. I wrote this on purpose. Don't put Swiss, please. Don't put Swiss, put Switzerland. Don't put Chinese, for China. Hong Kong for duties and customs is different from China. Put Hong Kong. So from here, movement, right? Analog, if it was an analog, let's say movement. Is the movement over 12 millimeters in thickness? Yes or no? You answer it down here. I was answering it by accident here. I also did this on purpose. These are common mistakes. So you don't do this mistake or you don't do it twice. So more than 12 millimeters thick. So, right, I would have a watch on. Thickness, for those of you who don't have English as your first language. Next, number of joules movement, 1 to 1, up to 1, whatever, over 17 joules. Most of my, Switzerland movements, are definitely over 17 joules. Country of origin, see, Switzerland, metal, don't put yes. It says provide type of metal, stainless steel. If it's gold plated on stainless steel with gold plated. If it's textile, leather, what type of animal? Sites, be careful with this. I'll go over sites in a second. It can affect everything else. Things are a lot more complicated. Sending alligator straps was already complicated sometimes by its own. When we had the Minimis, nobody would put alligator on it. Went smoothly. When the Minimis was taken out, it started popping up everywhere and causing double the delays. I'll go over that in a second. On the band strap, I put Japan, so I'm making this up. Material, not silver, gold plated. So all of this is tied in together, right? So anything that's real gold, silver, platinum, that's not a red flag. That means more mullah, more money. So for duties and taxes, if you put $100 watch value and the watch is gold plated or pure gold, come on. I said pure gold, wholly of precious metal. So that's pure gold, not gold, silver plated. You need to put that there, right? So that would be if it's stainless steel, it's also not silver plated. Country of origin of case, I put China, and I did this on purpose, and I'll do this in the math, right? So I put numbers down here. Material backplate, just in case it has precious metal. The US, right now, they're looking at 4 categories for calculating duties, and it's based on country of origin. The origin of the case, China. The origin of the movement, Switzerland. The origin of the band, Japan, or the battery, right? So this is country of origin. So I'll use a word for those of you who don't know a lot of English, parts and components. Parts and components. So a component of a watch is a movement, a component of a watch is a case, a component of a watch is a strap, and a component of a watch is a battery. Can the US, one day to another, decide to add more components? Yes. Do you need to have a number in all components? No. Batteries, if it's not quartz, it's $0 here. This is supposed to be a 0, right? So I made it on purpose, and I'll explain why. Minimum, you have to have 3 components priced in here. So this watch, the movement, right, which is from Switzerland, which has more than 17 joules, is $50. The case is 100. The strap, which is not gold, it's coming from Japan, is 150. Wait a minute, the strap is more than the movement. Okay. And battery 0, 50 plus 100 plus 150 is 200. No, it's 300. I did this on purpose. If you sum this up incorrectly, it's going to come back. You do need to have the total watch value here, something I didn't put. You have to put US dollars, Australian dollars. Please put the country dollars, and this has to be by the cent. If it's 325 cents, your commercial invoice and the declared value you give UPS, FedEx, DHL has to be 325 cents. If it's 300, it gets returned. It happened to me. So I'm talking out of experience. Another thing, right now, we have a lot of human people with a backlog pushing paper. I'm going to call them paper pushers. A lot of them are not trained, as you saw, right? The only thing they're being told is to add this up correctly. They're not trained, and they're not going to the finer details. Believe me when I say the big three, they're working with AI right now. They're putting it in there. Customs, they will have it. There's a reason why the U.S. had a strike in the ports in the eastern part of the U.S. Recently, and it was the ports didn't want the U.S. to put AI and robots in the port. So U.S. is deploying in government AI. Believe me, now Elon Musk is not in government anymore. So that's opinions for anybody. You can laugh at that if you want or not. But would have been concerned if Elon Musk was there with this, in the sense that AI would be deployed a lot faster. So algorithms in AI, they will read, wait a minute, Switzerland, $50 movement with a $150 case, audit. So this is coming. When it's coming, next week, who knows, a year from now, 10 years from now, but this is coming. And my opinion, right, as I stated at the beginning, I don't have research, I don't have a study on this, but I do work in AI on a daily basis. My opinion is this is coming pretty quickly. Company name, I put Watch Inc. in here. Put your company name. What happens if you're a seller, an individual, you don't have a company? Just write personal, individual in here. Name and title. If you're a personal individual, put your name here. Don't put a title. If you're a company, put whatever title you have. Put your email here. If you're a company, I would put the company email, not the personal one. If you have one, if not, the email. And then airway bill number. I left this blank on purpose. When you're filling this out for the first time, you want to have the airway bill number until you go online and you do your label. You'll get a temporary airway bill number. I'll explain what that is in 1 second. Or you go to FedEx, UPS, or you need to tell if you use a shipping agent. I'll explain what that is in a second. It needs to go in there. Now, airway bill number is AWB number, which we all know as your tracking number. That's the little number you go to a FedEx, UPS website, you put in there to track the package. I've gotten a couple of questions what that is. I understand that's because of language, and it's more used in the US than anything else. This is the watch sheet for DHL, and I'll do UPS in a second. I was using this watch sheet for FedEx until about 10 days ago. FedEx returned it. I then sent it to another FedEx agent, because sometimes I sent documents to different people in FedEx, and one person says no and the other says yes. Yes, that's happening. And they came back and FedEx said, no, you have to use mine. So now in FedEx, you have to use this one, which, by the way, is the more complete one, the best one. So up until now, DHL is accepting this. One thing you will get an issue is you need to put Switzerland, not Swiss, Japan, not Japanese, China, not Chinese. You need to put in here power. Most automatic wind-up watches obviously don't have power, so this would be blank, but these three have to be filled out. They put a dollar sign. Is this Canadian dollars or US dollars? If it's Canadian, CAD. If it's US dollar, USD. If it's euro, you can have the weird E. Sorry, Europeans. This doesn't come in the watch sheet. The sender did this, and I appreciate them for this, because you do have people over there that need to take out a calculator, calculate this. Sometimes they do mistakes, human error, manual. So do this. It helps you, it helps everybody. So pointers on this, make sure you put the country of origin. Why? Let me come back. Remember when we started and we say China's at 50%, Switzerland is at 39, Japan, I'm almost sure it's 20, not 15 now, right? EU is 15. So how this is calculated, let's say this watch was sent from Switzerland, is not, remember, I did not add this up on purpose, right? So we do an exercise here. This was really 300, let's say, US dollars down here, where it says watch value breakdown. Don't put the zero if you don't have it, leave it blank, right? The zero looks like a number. You can get it returned. So that's why I did this way. So more info is good. Sometimes too much is not good. So that means that, if the movement is from Switzerland, this is at 39%. If the case is from China, the $100 here is at 50% duties. And remember, November 1, as you saw on the top, November 1, China goes up to 100%, unless China gets more aggressive up until November 1st with anything in duties. The US will increase it before November 1 per Trump. And then the strap, let's say the strap is from Japan. Strap, you're looking at the 15 or 20% from Japan. So always check what are the current percentages as they may go up and down. Vietnam, I do buy from Vietnam. I do bring in from Vietnam. Vietnam has 20% if it's wholly or purely made in Vietnam. If it's Vietnam Chinese finished in Vietnam, it has 40%. So Vietnam can get a little bit tricky. I haven't gotten that asked yet, but it will be asked. So that's how you calculate. So that's why country of origin. And just because you send a watch from the UK, does not mean, and I know most UK watchmakers, they send it to Switzerland, import it back into the UK, and then send it from the UK. It's not the UK duties. It's going to be based on country of origin. UPS, I have to say, I don't hate people. I don't hate companies, but man, I'm very close to hating UPS. Every time I see their logo, I cringe in an email or even driving out on the road. So what is the case made of, right? Metal. Remember, Switzerland, Japan, China. What's the watch's clock display, blah, blah, blah. I had a watch sender the other day. They put Switzerland on the movement, and customs asked for a certificate from the Chamber of Commerce. But why? Switzerland pays more than the EU. Well, possibly customs wanted to make sure that that movement was from Switzerland, 39%, versus China, 50%, and soon 100%. So, start writing all of that in here. The movement, Japan, the case from Belgium, right? Netherlands. Japan pays a little bit more than Belgium, Netherlands. No battery. See, I wouldn't even put this here, right? This just says the battery is worth $1, right? And then when you add this up over here, it should have, if somebody in a call center or a paper pusher decides this is a 1, this is 120 euros, not 121, right? So I love how they put euros in here. So please do that. Name, company, right? Mother of pearl, I assume, I don't know. This is my opinion. I don't know if mother of pearl also comes through sites or it has to do with being more expensive. Tips and pointers. I've been doing a lot of these common mistakes and the best customer service. I'm calling this. Add this up to the cent and do put the currency in there. You want to take care of your customers in the US right now. So what is the US is, as of, last year, they again became the #1 importers, buyers of watches in the world over China. China has been going down and buying watches, and they're also buying a lot more local. There's a lot of nice local watch brands in China. I do collect a couple of them. So make sure everything adds up. Make sure you're using the correct currency. Make your numbers, when you write them down, very clear. In other words, everything make it dummy proof. Putting the right amount of data is very important, sometimes a little bit more. Don't put too much because then we can confuse the paper pushers, with all due respect, right? The grand total of all the watches to the cent. I'm saying it again, I had issues because a watch that was over 1,000 euros was off by 254 euros. So, so right now there isn't any immateriality there. If you're using a broker or a shipping company, a lot of you watchmakers, have a company, you were sending watches, 2 things. Number 1, are they specialized in watches, right? There are brokers out there that do specialize. They do specialize with watches, so they know all the ins and outs, how to fill all this paperwork, right? And they're just regular shipping companies that they send electronics and everything else, and they don't know it. I've seen a lot of these companies make a lot of errors. In one case, a package coming from Vietnam, it was too long in there. Customs opened up the package. They needed a site's certificate because there was an alligator strap in there. I asked the sender. He says, "Well, I don't have it." So they told customs that they didn't have it. The whole thing got destroyed. So make sure you're using a correct broker. I've worked with watch senders who have brokers, and my broker's taking care of it. And they don't know it. If you do use a broker, try to use somebody that knows about watches. They will help you immensely, and they will help the receiver also immensely. Please understand, I'm not penalizing you're a victim of, let's say, trade war between the US and China, and US is trying to get more competitive in a way in global markets. And by the way, in all fairness, a lot of countries do have import duties on US products, right? So we need to keep our emotions out. This is economic. We have no control over it. It was happening anyway. Trump's just doing it too fast for me, but that's my opinion. But on an economic standpoint, we've never had Trump and Biden, 2 opposing presidents that have kept the same fiscal economic policy from one to another. So believe it or not, these guys can criticize themselves so much, economically, Biden continued with a lot of things Trump has started. And again, I'm not taking any sides here. I vote for either of them. This is an economic standpoint. So there hasn't been two presidents as similar economically, not anything else like immigration. So with that said, I want to give kudos to Venezianico, Satori Billard, Isotope, and Christopher Ward. They're doing a great job. I know CW and Venezianico, they're bigger in size. I also know Armand and Jose. You know, they have a decent size, but you know they're more a micro. Venezianico and Christopher Ward, they're more. I consider them now, you know, more on the independent side. Please, you need to have things very crystal clear with the receiver, who's responsible for what in the process. Please, you need to communicate well. You don't know how many brands. Hey, my watch, email, I call it's been 3 days. They're waiting for the watch sheet. Yeah, I'm busy. Me too. And if you don't move fast enough, the watch will get returned, right? So you need to communicate fast. You need to be on your toes. All right. What I mentioned there, I am sometimes I'm tied between a Satori Billard and somebody else's micro brand. The prices are nearly the same, or Satori can even be more expensive, but I know that I'll get my package smoothly. I'll go with Satori Billard. So actually communicating well, making sure watches are going there, using FedEx. Again, I don't work for FedEx, but I'm telling everybody, I've been in scenarios where I'm buying from a reseller or a flipper, and I tell them, if you don't send FedEx, I'm not buying from you. I had a watch the other day, even in the US, they wouldn't take PayPal. Right? And I told them, listen, I'll pay for the 3% for the quote unquote warranty or the goods and services. And they said they don't take it. And I said, okay, I won't do the transaction. So yes, it matters. And the more experiences we have, the more customer experience. And at the end of the day, remember this: seller, sender. And this is business, and it happens to Amazon, happens to eBay, happens to Samsung, to Apple. The sale is not complete until the last mile it's complete. The last mile is taking the package from the distribution center to the house, to the person, or to the business. So, it's pretty much accepted out there that the sale is complete after the last mile. That's why Amazon, that's why Walmart and all these big companies invest so much in the shipping experience and in the last mile. It's because it has to happen. Big piece of advice: share your watch sheets with your receivers as soon as you send it in PDF format. PDF format. I've gotten a lot of watch sheets returned because they were a picture on a phone, a JPEG or something like that. Sometimes after 2 or 3 days. DHL, which they do have a pretty nice upload tool in their processes, web tool that I can upload documents. I've uploaded, it doesn't allow me to upload if it's not PDF, but I send other documents to FedEx and this and that, and they get sent back because it has to be in PDF format or certain format. So please keep it in .pdf. What's Albert Einstein's rule? I'll explain it in a second. So I had a case with a watch sender maker, pretty well-known Mick brand, right? And I was telling them, hey, make sure you fill the watch sheet this way and tell the shipper that. And they said, Hector, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been using the same document for 5 years. Guess what? It got put on hold. And I said, but Hector, I was using this for 5 years. So Albert Einstein says that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting same or different results. So the guy was sending the same document more than once, and he was expecting customs to pass it because he used it a whole bunch of times before. Guys, things have changed, right? You have to do things differently now. This and that, I call this Kickstarter. Kickstarter, when we're buying, we need receivers, buyers. Hey, same rules apply to Kickstarter. Kickstarter, if something happens, is not responsible, the shipper, the sender. So Kickstarters, we have to deal with the sender, the owner of the campaign. Please remember that. Kickstarter senders, you know that Kickstarter has nothing to do with this. Communicate well on your blogs and websites on Kickstarters. Make sure you have a support email on your website, and please answer the emails. There's been quite a few brands in MIC that I send support emails, and then I got a reply back 3 or 4 days. Oh, I've been busy. Oh, I don't check this email that much. Please, somebody bought something, please provide the appropriate service. At least that's what we expect, right? And this is good for your brand, right? People blog, people put comments. In MIC, we put comments. In MIC, I've had to hunt down a couple of sellers and vendors and ask the MIC community, listen, I sent this and this brand, 5 emails, whatever. Does anybody have a phone I can contact somebody? Thanks to the Micro Industry Collective group, I've been able to locate that. And I do get an apology. I do accept it. But again, next time I buy, I can't erase it, right? There's I like to, when I argue with my wife, I like to tell her, I can forgive, but I won't forget, right? So she does the same. So we can all forgive. Doesn't mean that when you forgive, you forget. Who bears the responsibility of shipments? You have to be clear on that. The 3 UPS watches lost or returned. The sender said, no, I've been writing to you since day 2 or 3. I've been telling you, so don't blame the shipper. And even if it's the shipper, I don't have the package. No final mile. No final mile. You haven't finished delivering the package. You are the one. And remember, shippers and senders. And sorry for saying this. A lot of you are my friends. You decide who your shipper and sender is. I know you want to keep your costs down or the cost of the buyer down. I know FedEx is the most expensive one. By the way, DHL 2-3 months ago was better than FedEx. FedEx invested in their call center and training people and hiring people in the US. Know the US process. They know it the most. And they've improved their processes and systems. Send you an email, send it back, send me, send that, call. DHL, I think, my opinion, will get there. I like DHL's web functionality where, and by the way, I haven't gotten that in a while, but most people are using FedEx now, where I could upload my own documents. So if you share your worksheet with me and it's the same you have, please make it be the same. A lot of times the receiver, we can upload it, we can send it to FedEx DHL because they also communicate with us and we save both of each other time and effort and time in receiving the watches. So again, I'm not criticizing the seller, the buyer, somewhat the shipping company, especially UPS, right? Because we pay a lot of money for this. That's their business. They're the ones who have to deal with this part of it. That's why they make money out of this. But, share the watch sheet. Nothing happens with that. We get a copy of the watch sheet with the package anyway. We can request that from FedEx, UPS. So, the components just need to add up and be logical. Is AI coming as here? Yes. Will it make the process a lot faster? Yes. And it will also provide a lot more duties to receivers. And it will, I say, lower the amount of packages being returned. But the reality is it could also increase it. So could there be a portal that we just do the watch sheet on the portal? Oh my God. Somebody please get this done. And with the money UPS, FedEx, DHL have and make from us. So this is not just watches. This is me yesterday, October 14th, depending on when you see this or read this. And this is me buying from Minimis. Love their brand. I don't get endorsed. I don't get anything free from them, by the way. And I was buying a record player, vinyl. Yes, I'm old school. Outside of Spotify, I definitely like vinyl, how it sounds. So look at my questions. Who do you ship with to the US, FedEx, whatever? That's going to make a difference in my buying decision to them. Does your pricing at checkout include duties, tariffs to the US? Right? Some people are including them. I love how Christopher Ward communicates in their website and their whole buying process. The only criticism I have from Christopher Ward is when a package ships out, I get a little icon in my email that says track package. I click on it, still doesn't work. So CW, if you see this, please fix that. But it's a minor glitch. They solve their own issues. But use your website to post things, update your terms and conditions. I bought from brands that when after I get the email confirmed before the watch is sent, they still send, hey, these are my my terms and conditions on shipping. Make sure you understand this. I'll be sending the watch. Ideally, you should have it at checkout that people's, read. Please don't make a 10-page legal document. Nobody will read it. And most of the time, they're not enforceable anyway. Keep it direct, keep it short, keep it to the point, right? And set expectations in that when they're checking out. I know a lot of the MIC brands, we don't have budgets or can pay Shopify or other people to keep on updating our web pages like CW does. So, you can also do it through email, right? And, on your shopping cart. So, if your prices includes duties, put it in red. CW does it. Work on communicating. Communication doesn't have to be one-on-one. It's about posting and having email templates and making sure this, making sure that you can send an email, getting ready to receive your shipment. Customer be on the watch out for this. Check your tracking number periodically. You can do that direct. These are the website, FedEx, UPS, etc. If anybody needs help with that because of English or whatever, I'll be more than gladly, on my own time. I won't charge you for it.